People who haven't beep fans. How have your family and loved ones reacted?
Story 1.
Here's a funny story. True story. My mother, who is 80, loves bird watching. She is a fan of protecting wildlife and preserving bird population. Where she lives, they are killed a lot by cats. One day, she overheard my nieces talking about beep fans, and she asked what it is. My nieces were, I assume, embarrassed to say what it truly is to their grandma. And they said it is a website where people show videos to fans. I didn't know about that exchange. But imagine my face when the following week my mother announced me with a big smile that she was going to open an beep fans page to show her videos. Things clicked afterward when I asked a few questions. And thanks God I managed to persuade her to not do it and to never go to that site. That's actually why Beep Fans was made, as an alternative to Patreon. It has turned into Beep work as they're one of the few sites that guarantee 18+. However, there are also plenty of hobbyists and enthusiasts from bird watching to golf and more. Yeah, aren't they just a Patreon clone? Also, didn't they try to ban adult content at one point, but retracted from the idea? Would have been moronic of them to do so instead of leaning into it. Yeah, they attempted to do the Tumblr mistake and ban NSFW stuff. The very thing they're known for, they wanted to ban. I'm a tax accountant, and we often have parents drop off tax documents for themselves and their college-age kids, because the kids' stuff gets mailed to their address anyway. It's relevant to know that 1,099s from Beep Fans are issued from Phoenix International. And don't say Beep Fans anywhere on them. 3 different times, I've had parents tell me that their child started a photography business while handing me an Beep Fans 1099. We actually created an internal policy for how to respond because it keeps happening. We're so proud of our daughter. She is doing super well financially, and she's only a sophomore in college. Her photography website earns $11,000 a month. She's not even a photography major.
Story 2.
One of my friends does Beep Fans full-time. At first, his family was annoyed, but once they realized how much he was making, they were on board. One of his clients pays his rent herself, and in exchange, she listens to all her problems and makes content specifically for her. I personally don't ask him many questions about it, because it's not my thing, but we play FPS many nights a week, and he destroys people in those. I really hope he has a plan B. I once knew someone who had the same arrangement for years, and the client just up and blocked her out of nowhere. She ended up homeless begging for people to pay her bills. I don't know his financials, but I do know he has been investing money so that he can have a bit of a safety net for the future.
Story 3.
My family is supportive. They found out about me doing online Beep work years before. We didn't talk for about a year after a friend outed me, but after some hard talks, they are amazingly supportive now. This was a huge thing for them, and to be honest, I didn't expect we would ever start talking again. My mom and dad are both first-generation immigrants, with the traditional Catholic upbringing, so them being able to be accepting was due, in part, to a lot of willingness to work through their own beliefs and attitudes. I also had to learn to be more patient during that time. One result of them knowing for better or worse is when they see anything Beep-related, they will ask me what it is. If they don't know, but if that's the trade-off of them being supportive, then I'll gladly answer questions. Also, their questions tend to be news-related or things that come up in the news. So it's nothing inappropriate, invasive, or anything personal that would make me uncomfortable. An example of this, there was some controversy on my mom's local Facebook about something relating to a common beep. The really conservative people in her town were essentially calling people with a consensual beep traffickers and spreading incorrect right-wing talking points. Instead of joining into the conversation, she asked me about what it was. I explained it and she got upset about them spreading misinformation. She also expressed sympathy for the people who were being attacked. It was a surprise to see her advocate for people so different from her in that way, especially on that topic, because I couldn't have imagined her doing that years before. I was really proud of her in that moment.
Story 4.
It's not quite Beep fans, but I've been writing Beepica for a living for well over a decade now. Honestly, it's been kind of a mixed bag. My family don't even know what I do for a living, let alone my pen names, because they have absolutely no sense of boundaries. And they would immediately go and look me up even though neither one of us actually wants them to have read my smut. My family are gossips by nature, so telling any of them means telling all of them. And I cannot look my mother in the eye over Christmas dinner knowing that she may have just read a full-on beep bang story her darling daughter used to pay her mortgage. Friends who I know I can trust know what I do, but very few of them know my pen names. It's usually at least 6 months before meeting someone new that I tell them my actual job. Even though, "So, what's your pen name?" is almost always one of the first questions that people ask. Some of my friends have read my stuff, and some of my friends have been people who used to edit for me, and then became friends. So, they know me through my smut. But I feel like it would be really stressful to ever introduce my smut friends to my non-smut friends, even though both groups are lovely people in their own way. Even with my beep friends, it can be a little odd sometimes. I'm not that binky by comparison to a lot of my friends in the scene, but I'm also a lot binkier than a lot of my vanilla friends. So, venting about my work means threading a very particular needle. Partners have been the weirdest ones, though. There's always a bit of a strange section at the start of a relationship where I have to be a bit vague about what I do. And it's definitely ended relationships where a potential long-term partner has been weird about the fact that I wouldn't immediately tell them exactly what I was writing. There have also been a few people who've wanted to save me from my job, as though I don't have an absolute blast doing what I do. There was one guy who I decided to tell on an early date what I did, and he just gently put his hand on mine and asked, "Who hurt you?" in the most ridiculously earnest way imaginable. It did not last. On the other hand, there are people who discover I write smut and just want all dirty talk all the time, which, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, and I'm good at that. But it's a lot like asking someone who works at Subway to come home and make you a dozen more sandwiches until you get just the perfect flavor combination you're looking for. The phrase, "I'm not a beepish dispenser," has ended a fair number of relationships as well, as has the idea that effectively my job is trying to get complete strangers off. Some people, perhaps understandably, struggle with that. The problem is I have to balance. You have a right to know that I try to encourage people to beep to my writing, and that's why I can afford to pay for this date myself. With I have a right to keep certain aspects of my life private until I know I can trust you. So figuring out when and what to tell people is a bit of a balancing act. So yeah, generally I've learned to keep it to myself. At least for a while. It does change how people see you, but it also reveals a lot about the people themselves, and whether or not you want to keep them in your lives. A surprising amount of people who you think are going to be fine and it turn into judgy MC beep nuts when they realize that actually you might enjoy beep work, or beep adjacent work, as I usually categorize what I do. At least I have the advantage of anonymity, which is quite nice. My face isn't out there, and I don't need to worry about a potential friend or partner or neighbor recognizing me from a campsite. If I ever did want to stop writing smut and get a different job, I could do so immediately, with pretty much zero pushback from my years in the beep mines. I wouldn't change my decision to do it, but the secrecy around it is definitely one of the trickier parts to manage.